With the city lights glimmering outside her window, Taylor Swift sat in her penthouse in the center of New York City. Her boyfriend, Travis Kelce, the great tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs, sent her a message when her phone chimed. The message said, "Hey babe, you free to join us on the New Heights podcast today?" Taylor grinned. Since she and Travis began dating, she had been a regular listener of the podcast, taking pleasure in the humor between him and his brother Jason. It gave her an idea of his world, which she wanted to enter. Her response was, "Of course, I'd love to." She got to the recording studio an hour later, where the Kelce brothers were getting ready for their most recent episode. There was a lot of laughing and the aroma of freshly made coffee in the air. Travis and Jason both gave Taylor a warm welcome as she walked in. Jason said, "I'm glad you were able to make it," with mischievous sparkles in his eyes. Travis drew her into a tender embrace. "Always a pleasure to have you here." The brothers opened the show by talking about the most recent NFL news, their childhood anecdotes, and their light-hearted barbs at one another. As she listened carefully, Taylor found herself chuckling at their stories and feeling more connected to Travis's history. The topic of their personal lives came up halfway through the program. Ever the initiator, Jason turned to smile at Taylor. "So, Taylor," he said, "we've heard Travis's side of the story, but what's it like dating a football star?" Taylor looked at Travis, who was trying not to smile, and laughed. "It's an adventure," she said as she looked directly into Travis's eyes. "There's never a dull moment." Travis said softly as he leaned closer, "You make it all worthwhile." Jason held up his hands and pretended to be disgusted. Okay, enough of the mushy babble. Let's resume our business." The remainder of the episode went by quickly, full with anecdotes, laughing, and a strong feeling of community. Travis looked to Taylor as they finished. Then he said, "Stick around, we're grabbing dinner." "I'd love to," she wrote back. The three of them carried on their animated conversations throughout dinner, exploring everything from sports to music to their common experiences in the limelight. Taylor was captivated by their world and enjoyed their sincere connection. Travis escorted Taylor to her vehicle as the evening came to an end. "Today was perfect," she calmly said. He brushed a lock of hair away from her face and grinned. "Just the beginning." As she drove back to her apartment, Taylor thought back on the day's activities, getting to know Travis's family and seeing his world up close. In the nicest manner conceivable, it all seemed unreal. The Taylor starring episode aired later that week. Social media was inundated with replies from fans, many of whom were praising the couple's genuineness and connection. Record-breaking ratings were achieved by the podcast. Taylor kept making appearances on the New Heights podcast in the next months, giving listeners a better understanding of her connection with Travis and her assimilation into his culture with each new episode. Listeners praised the sincere exchanges and the merging of their two worlds, making the episodes some of the most popular. Taylor's mood changed as a result of these appearances. She was anxious at first, not knowing how others would react to her presence. However, as the episodes went on, she settled in better and gained confidence as she made her way through this new phase of her life. In addition to deepening her relationship with Travis, the podcast connected her to a community that fully supported her. It served as evidence of the strength of common experiences and the surprising connections that individuals might make in life. As a result, their relationship's symphony continued to play, a beautiful fusion of football, music, and their unwavering commitment. Taylor Swift was enjoying chamomile tea and browsing through her phone on a cool autumn evening in New York City. There was a sensation of expectancy within, while the outside world was bustling with a normal intensity. She was going to join Travis Kelce and his brother Jason on their New Heights podcast, which made tonight unique, not because of a performance or the release of an album. Taylor has always listened to the podcast and loved the brothers' open conversations about life, football, and family. She was unable to decline Travis' invitation to attend. She had no idea that this appearance would cause her own feelings to be unexpectedly revealed. The virtual room erupted in laughter as the podcast got underway. Taylor felt herself settling into the discussion as a result of Travis and Jason's contagious banter. They spoke about everything from Travis's touchdown celebrations to her composing process. Unquestionably, They clicked, and the episode swiftly rose to the top of the podcast popularity charts. Over the next several weeks, Taylor became aware of little changes in herself. Her songs started to show a greater awareness of connection and vulnerability. Ever observant, her fans saw this change and welcomed the increased depth in her songs. She was listening to the most recent episode of New Heights one evening when she saw a certain scene. Travis spoke about utilizing music as a coping mechanism, describing how he listened to Taylor Swift songs when things became hard. As she heard this, Taylor's chest began to warm up. She had always hoped that others, particularly those she cared about, may find solace in her music. Inspired, Taylor wrote a song that night, putting all of her emotions into the lyrics. The song Echoes of Her Heart, which resonated with listeners all across the globe, became an anthem for many. Taylor ascended the stage to receive a Song of the Year award at the Grammy Awards a few months later. She dedicated the victory to Travis and Jason, two people who motivated her. The Kelce brothers grinned proudly as the crowd erupted in cheers. Taylor discussed the value of sincere relationships and how chance meetings may result in significant personal development in her acceptance speech. She expressed her gratitude to Travis for opening her eyes to a fresh viewpoint on fortitude and resiliency. Taylor appeared as a guest presenter on a special episode of New Heights that aired the following week. The three engaged in conversations about their worlds' overlapping sportsmanship and inventiveness. The program was full with poignant moments, thought-provoking discussions, and laughs. You know, your ability to turn emotions into art is something truly remarkable, Travis stated to Taylor as the show came to a close. It's a present. Taylor grinned, and something deeper and thankfulness were seen in her eyes. And your ability to find strength in vulnerability is equally inspiring, she said. Both of them realized that their paths had crossed for a purpose as their eyes met. In addition to changing their professional lives, their partnership had sparked a personal quest to discover and accept who they really were. Taylor and Travis's relationship is proof of the surprising ways life can bring individuals together, as they have supported one another's pursuits ever since. Their tale, one of friendship, development, and the lovely, unpredictable nature of human connections, became a fan favorite at a story of humor, love, and surprising twists. Taylor Swift was sitting in her favorite cafe in the busy center of New York City, the perfume of freshly made coffee mingling with the gentle murmur of voices. Her manager's notice flashed on her phone as it buzzed. Travis and Jason Kelce want you on the New Heights podcast next week. Any ideas? As she wrote her answer, Taylor grinned and moved her fingers around the keyboard. Definitely. Let's get it done. She was in a comfortable studio the next week with football memorabilia on the walls around her. With real enthusiasm shining in his eyes, Travis Kelce shook her hand warmly. He added, "Taylor, it's an honor," with a hint of adoration in his voice. The ever-joking Jason Kelce added, "Don't let him fool you. He's been practicing his You Belong With Me lyrics all week." The three of them got into a heated debate about football, music, and the points where their worlds converged as soon as the recording started. The companionship was contagious, and Taylor found herself smiling more than she had in weeks. Travis's analysis of the game was insightful, but his light-hearted banter made the discussion seem like it was between old friends. Travis turned to smile mischievously at Taylor as the episode came to a close. "So, Taylor," he said in a joking manner, "we've talked about football, we've talked about music, but tell us, what's one thing about you that would surprise our listeners?" With a cheeky gleam in her eye, Taylor halted. "Well," she said, "I once attempted to learn how to play the ukulele on my own by taking online lessons. The neighbors were not happy, to put it mildly." Jason started giggling. "I can only imagine." Leaning forward, Travis's face seemed sincere. "It's uncommon to meet someone who has accomplished so much and has a sense of humor, Taylor. It's motivating." His comments caused Taylor's heart to skip a beat, and she felt a wave of warmth wash over her. She had always appreciated genuineness and humility, which she now witnessed in many people. The relationship between them persisted even after the incident ended. Taylor started appearing on a New Heights podcast on a regular basis throughout the course of the next several months. and each time was more entertaining than the previous. Unquestionably, the three had chemistry, and their discussions were a mix of profundity, comedy, and respect for one another. Travis turned to Taylor one evening after a particularly interesting session in which they discussed the similarities between football strategy and songwriting.